Hello and welcome to episode 246 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with socials.
The Wolves 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. And please rate us on Spotify and Apple.
Dan Bayliss is here.
Hello.
Are you in the box, Dan, or
Yeah.
weekend? And Jack Williams.
Hi, everybody.
Harry, let's start with the 1-1 draw to Nottingham Forest at Molineux at the weekend. One change, Jose Sarr came in for Dan Bentley and completely fucked it for the Forest goal.
Well, that's Jose Sarr in a bloody nutshell, isn't it? I thought it was so harsh dropping Bentley after his performance against Burnley, that double save, and obviously hadn't conceded a goal since he come on at Arsenal. I thought that was a bit bizarre, to be honest. I'd be really annoyed if I was Bentley. But talking of Burnley, it was a very, very similar game in terms of our performance. So boring to watch. The first 10 minutes was flat. We didn't look up for it. Obviously, Forest ended up going 1-0 up, which was sloppy from us. Our goal was really good, but 90% of that game, my life, very tough watch. Very, and as well, the atmosphere. I know it's hard when the performance is really poor, but the atmosphere was horrendous, like against Burnley, dead. When we play teams, we say it so many times, when we play teams we think we're going to beat and we expect to beat, Molineux's not a very good place. It's just true. Like when we're underdogs, it's brilliant, but we've come away with 4 points somehow, but the two performances probably didn't deserve it, if I'm being honest.
Bayliss, I thought we looked very, very leggy. It was the third game in 7 days, and with a pretty depleted squad. We were sort of saying before the Arsenal game that after the Arsenal game, that the bench was probably most experienced it's been in a while. But I think just sloppy, as Harry said, is probably the word that you'd use.
Yeah, just lacked a bit of any sort of dynamic, didn't it? I thought we were better in the first half than the second, but just wasn't a very good performance. And I'm sure that's what we're going to come on to, and that's where the criticisms come from. But that is 3 bad performances in a row, but we've come away with 4 points, so you've got to sort of take the positive from it, I sort of guess. But I don't know. We can't go through a bad patch now because we've got a load of games coming up in quick succession, so something's got to change.
Jack, do you think Wolves fans are being too harsh on Gary O'Neill? I mean, it does seem to be certainly split in the comments section as we are live at the moment. But what about from your point of view? I mean, Ethan says, I wish Gaz would put the same amount of effort into his subs than he does his interviews.
His subs are strange, aren't they? I mean, particularly in that game where in the second half, it was quite open second half, much more than the first half. But bringing Kalajic on with 4 minutes left, I don't know what you're expecting, really. You've got to at least give him a chance. And the fact that he's shown that you can come into these sorts of games and nick us something, but you've just not given him any time to even come on and make an impact. So I can see why the substitutions are frustrating. With this one, it was a bit annoying because after the first half performance, which wasn't great, it was really, really sloppy of us to go behind because that's exactly what Forest needed. And I was a bit worried after they went 1-0 up because you could tell straight away they were playing pretty much every player behind the ball, and we are not great. We've never been that great at breaking teams down when they sit back, and it looked like it was going to be one of those days. Then we come back into it with it's a great team goal, isn't it? The equaliser. It's a really nice goal when you watch it back. So, you know, it's a great bit of play from the midfield and then from Sarabia, and then a nice finish from Cunha, who's in great form lately. And from that point, you kind of expect us to kick on because we had so much of the ball in that first half, but on the balance of it, we created so little. But still, going into half time, I thought, right, I think we'll kick on from this now. We're playing a team that's got battered just a few days ago. We've had a day more rest than them on paper. You'd expect us to come out now, particularly being the home team. And to a degree, the opposite happened. Forest came out the traps, and I think we're probably the better team second half. Although it turned into quite an open game by the end of it. There were chances at both ends, and it turned into being quite an open contest when it didn't deserve to be. But ultimately, there was just not enough for us going forward. There was no creativity. There was no final third killer pass, and no chances being taken. And it was just two home games back to back against beatable opposition. Granted, we got 4 points, so I don't know if we can say on the whole that they've been it's bad, because I know that it's just been a bit below average. And I think if we got 6 points from those 2 games like we wanted, it would have flattered us because we didn't really deserve it, and we should be happy with 4, really.
Harry, do you echo that? I mean, Semedo seems to be split an opinion, but I thought he had a poor game.
Yeah, he was poor, particularly for the goal as well. Got beat in the air quite easily, didn't he? But he was good against Burnley, so it's one of them. He's a bit, he's a bit hot on cold, isn't he? We know that. Someone put something about the killer passes. You got the comment from Trevor. I agree, but Lamina, he shot on that goal, didn't he? That was a killer pass through to Sarabia for him to cut it back. So we can do it, but I agree with your comments, Sam, when you said we looked leggy. That we really did. Like Hwang, especially, was non-existent. Sarabia played well again, I thought, but in saying that, we really do miss Neto, don't we? And Aït-Nouri, I thought Bueno struggled again. He don't look fit enough. So yeah, it's don't help. We've got personnel out, as well as Mr. Reliable Toti Gomez has been poor the last few games as well. Looks very all over the place, been giving the ball away and things like that. So really poor performance. Kilman as well on that one when he give it to him and Sarr had to pull off the save. So it was just a bit of a bad day, and it felt like a weeknight game where you can't get the atmosphere going. But with the Gibbs White effect, I thought it'd be a really, really good atmosphere. Be on his back, which they did sing a few songs that were a bit like a cringe when they were singing some of them. They're a bit dodgy, but I thought that would get the atmosphere and the fans going, but it didn't. Did it really? The atmosphere couldn't get going even with him playing.
I think a shining light, Dan, was Cunha. I thought that he was brilliant in spells and had a sort of like never say die attitude, was creating chances, and it does look to mean that he seems to be settling in. He's obviously only been here about 11 months, really, really settling into it now, and I think that there's a real player in there.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. I think you could see that he was the one that was going to do something. Him and Sarabia, maybe. I didn't think Sarabia played too badly, but I don't know. It was just so flat. Like even Molyneux, I don't know what you lot thought, but everything was just a bit. Ugh. It was like how you feel after you've had your Christmas dinner. It's very like, oh, done with that. Cheers. I'm going to sit down and have a nap. Just, I don't know. Wolves need to come out and do something at some point in the next couple of weeks, or else we're just going to sit through 3 or 4 more lackluster performances. Because I didn't think a lot of the Burnley game either.
Jack, there's a couple of comments saying that he's strengthened in January, but a lot of people calling out for a striker, and I know you made the point before that why is Sasha getting 4 minutes and then we're asking for a striker in January? There's a perfectly good one on the bench with the best goal to minute ratio probably I think in the league.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's probably 2 answers to that question that are possible, and it's one that Gary O'Neill doesn't think he either fits into the system or thinks that he trusts him to come on that early. I know is it 1 or 2 starts he's had? It's not many, is it, at all? I know he came in once when there was a few injuries and suspensions flying about. Or the other option is what was it? Lost where I was going with that. I said there was 2 options for something. No, so there's 2 options. Either Gary O'Neill doesn't rate him, or he's not fit. He's not fully fit still. But we've been saying that. We've been saying that for the since he got here, didn't we? I know he was did himself straight away, but I think now we've got to basically to Christmas. In the first few games of the season, are saying that he's just coming back from injury, but that game the other day was just petering out into nothing. And if you want to go on and potentially get 2 points there, you bring on your massive striker who's proven that he can do it before, and at least give him a chance. But when you're only bringing him on when they just put the board up, and there was only 3 or 4 minutes added on anyway, I think from memory. I mean, what are you expecting? Like nothing really. And some of the other substitutions are a bit weird as well. Like when he brought Traore on, I thought it just didn't seem to fit in with really going on and winning the game, did it? Because usually he brings Traore on when we're trying to sit and defend. But
he gave the ball away, didn't he, for the creating a chance for them quite late on? Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but I think in answer to the question that's in the title of this is, are we being a bit too harsh? I don't think people have been too harsh. It's exactly the sort of games that Wolves don't turn up for at home against teams that on paper we should be beating. As we've seen already this season, any team that's on a terrible run, if you've not won a game yet, if you're Sheffield United, if you've not got a point or at home yet, or if you're Luton, if you've just been beaten 5-0 2 days ago, come to Wolves and don't worry, we'll give you something from somewhere. And it's happened again. So I don't know, but I wouldn't judge him on this, because you know what'll happen. He'll probably pull out some performances either away at West Ham or home to Chelsea, and that's the way it usually goes. But bottom line, we've got 4 points from 2 games, so I don't think we can be too unhappy about that, because I think if you looked at the 3 games of Arsenal, Burnley and Forest, ideally you'd say you wanted 6 points from that, but I think 4 is pretty much par, isn't it? So I think we should be relatively all right with it.
Harry?
Yeah, I agree. Just going back on the strike, I think Fabio as well. He's done any, because like he ain't even been looked at to come on, and his Instagram post as well that he took with
Well,
Gibbs
that doesn't
White
help.
saying "good to see you." Jeez, he's just burying his own bloody. He's putting dirt on himself and his grave, and he's ended his own Wolves career with posts like that. But yeah, on the Gary O'Neill criticism coming out the ground Saturday, like I was a bit like, phew, we got away with that. Like we could have lost that. So, but obviously I was disappointed we didn't win. But really negative, like just listening to people talking in and around me as I was walking out. So many people on Gary O'Neill's back, which I get because his substitutions weren't great. 2 last performances have been a bit, but come on, man. I mean, we wanted to stay up this season. We're comfortable. We can't always be crying. Do you know what I mean?
Go on, Jack.
Are you surprised that the VAR protest didn't spark a bit more fight into the crowd?
It was non-existent, wasn't it? It was non-existent. Yeah. Walking up to the ground, I've seen so many signs on that for it, like everywhere. Everyone holding them in the ground. No one had one round by me. I'm looking at the South Bank opposite. Couldn't see anyone holding one up. So that just fell on its arse, didn't it? Not really. No one really.
Do you think it also like? I think we're probably closest to like the day of the year where it gets dark the earliest. I think that comes into it. The fact it's dark at 3:30 and it's just depressing.
Yeah,
and people just don't feel up for it.
Yeah, and with the fact that we thought we were going to win, or put all those together, you get that sort of day. We must have been last on Match of the Day. I didn't watch it, but we must have been.
Harry, with the substitutions, do you think they were the wrong substitutions, or do you think they were too late?
I agree with Jack. The Traore one is a bit weird when we want to go and win it, but apparently Lamina kept picking up a few knocks. Doherty, well, God, he was shit when he come on, by the way. Bloody hell, but that's what he always does. He gave the ball away on the one, didn't he? When then he scored that header. Yeah. Bellegarde really disappointed me. When he come on, I thought, right, energy, he'll do something here. He was bad when he come on, and obviously Sasha didn't get enough time. So, yeah, I think he slightly got it wrong. I'd like to see him be a bit more positive, bring on Sasha earlier, definitely. Maybe bring on Bellegarde earlier, but that's just not how he does it, is it? And when we win, we don't even care, do we? We're like, oh, he brought Traore on, brilliant. He saw the game out. But yeah, just a bad day all round for everyone, the players, the manager. But like we said, we didn't lose somehow but luckily Forest are crap as well, which helped us. But they deserved to win, in my opinion. The chance they had.
Bayliss, do you think Wolves fans are being too harsh on Gary O'Neill?
It's just strange, isn't it? Because he's done such a good job in those sort of 4 or 5 games previously that he sort of bought himself a bit of a stopgap from any criticism. But now we've had 3 on the bounce that have been pretty poor performances. I mean, West Ham are coming off the back of getting absolutely spanked, and they haven't been very good of late. So this is a nice one to go and test ourselves with. I think if we're really poor against West Ham, then there's got to be questions again. Not anything serious, but you've got to start criticising where it's due.
Let's move on to West Ham. They'll be in Europa League action this week against SC Freiburg. Yeah, exactly. Harry, do you think the extended breaks, obviously having played on the Saturday and then playing on the Sunday, a day extra against a West Ham side who've only got a couple of days recovery, and it's sort of just maybe what we need, a little bit of good timing before we go into the busy festive period?
Yeah, I see some of the players are on a bit of a trip to London as well today, so they're all on like a little mini holiday. It's got to be an advantage. I know they got smashed, didn't they, West Ham, but they did have a good win away at Spurs, didn't they, the game before that? So they're having a good season, really, considering they're in the Europa League. I think they're up in 8th or 9th. So it's going to be a tough one. We know going to West Ham is never easy, but yeah, the advantage has got to count. I mean, look when we played Villa at Molineux, that 1-1 draw. I mean, I know we was hanging on at the end, but looking at Villa now, the fact they'd played on the Thursday before we played, well, I think that was to our advantage. So hopefully we're full of energy. Hopefully some players are back that we desperately need. And let's just hope the performance is a bit more positive than it has been, like just attack a bit more. All of a sudden, we just don't look like we can create anything, whereas in weeks gone by we have. So let's just hope it's a bit more better going forward, especially.
Jack, I think you asked a question before about Neto and Ait-Nouri obviously not making the bench this time round, so you'd suspect that it's probably going to be the case this time round. Would you make any changes?
Away at West Ham, I think there'll be limited changes, to be honest. No, It's one of those games, though. I know I said just saying about playing Forest. I'm always a bit skeptical about playing teams who've just lost heavily, because quite often you get a reaction, don't you? And there's something there that come with a point to prove, particularly away from home. So I think it's going to make it difficult. But that said, the game will probably suit us a bit better because they're the home team. You know, they've had a decent start to the season. There's expectations on them this time rather than it has been on us for the last 2 home games. And, you know, playing on the break does seem to suit us a little bit. But in terms of changes, I don't think there'll be anything major if anyone's fit. Obviously, you said about Lamina, he looked like he had a bit of cramp or something, didn't he? So he came off. So he'll be a big miss because, you know, we've missed him recently, even when he was suspended. But wholesale changes, no, I can't see very much, to be honest.
It's tricky, isn't it, Bayliss? Because you'd be hard pushed to actually make wholesale changes without bringing in the academy graduates.
Yeah, it doesn't need the changes. It just needs that little bit of spark to do something and be more positive on the pitch. Because it's just been, as we've now probably said about 20 times, flat. But there's not a lot we can change in that team now. But we've seen a style of football that's changed massively game to game. So it's definitely tactical, and it's definitely an attitude within the players or the staff or whatever it happens to be, where Wolves need to come out and have a go at them. Because I didn't think we were that great at Fulham either, even though we played better in spells. So I know we've seen O'Neill at his best with sort of the Man U game. Fair enough, we lost it, and City and Spurs and stuff like that. So we know it's possible. We've just got to see him go and do it again.
Harry, I would say that Semedo maybe needs a little bit of a rest. I think Doherty is more than capable playing in that position rather than on the left-hand side, which is sort of what you had to contend with just because of the number of players. But Jack's pulling a face. Are you pulling the same face?
Yeah, I can't see Doherty playing that high up. He won't be.
Semedo?
I can't.
No.
Oh, I thought you said Sarabia.
Semedo. If I said Sarabia, sorry, I meant Semedo.
Yeah, sorry. You definitely said Sarabia, I think, unless I'm going mental.
Sorry, no,
it's Semedo. Doherty plays for Semedo. No. Saying that though, Bueno went good, but I don't like. Although Doherty back in the day, back like ages ago, League One days under Kenny Jackett, he was good left back, I thought. But when he plays for us now, he's got on a bit and he is quick. I don't like him being on the left hand side. I prefer him if he is going to play to be on the right. But I wouldn't drop Semedo. So to answer your question, no, I wouldn't bring Doherty in to start. I see Johnny's playing for the under-21s tonight, isn't he? So we know he's not in contention. But yeah, I'd keep Bueno in there. But Bueno just needs that bit of fitness back on. He just don't seem to want to take on a man. He used to like whip it in, didn't he? After a few step overs, he ain't really doing much of that. So that's got to improve. And Semedo, he'll be good again. He had a stinker against Forest, but he'll be all right. But no, keep Doherty on the bench, and definitely don't put Doherty on instead of Sarabia.
Shabby's been our best player the last 2 games. So you mentioned Johnny there. So if we understand it correctly, he's out of the first team picture until at the very least the start.
He'll be gone in January. He'll be gone.
Not that he's been in the first team picture really that much. I know he's been bench warming a little bit, but you know. So yeah, do we think that means he's just going somewhere in January, even if it's out on loan?
On loan, apparently, yeah, that's a rumour. Because he had a bust up, and he's had a meeting with the higher ups. That's the latest rumour in it. On the higher ups,
is that Jeff or?
Yeah, I hope so. Unless he's run off in China again.
Matt Hobbs, isn't it? He had a meeting with him. I mean, it's fine to be frustrated, but you know you need to conduct yourself in a professional manner. But it's a shame, really, because it doesn't keep the pressure on Bueno to perform if he knows that there's nobody there that is realistically going to be gunning for that left side, because we just don't have the players to cover it, and obviously Doherty isn't going to start there. Let's do a score prediction, Bayliss.
1-1.
1-1. Jack.
Difficult, this, isn't it? I'm going to go 0-0. We haven't had 0-0 for a while, have we?
Oh, clean sheet. Harry?
I'm feeling like a 2-2.
2-2. That's interesting. I mean, we've scored in every single game this season apart from the United game, isn't it? Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. See what happens there. We'll get some bets off Bayliss, who has an apology, and I will lead the apology for saying that the bet last week was free money, because it turns out it wasn't. It was free money for Sky Bet rather than anybody else.
There is very little out there yet. Obviously, we're doing the podcast very early in the week, and our game's Sunday. Just as the headlines, West Ham are favourites 6-5. Wolves are just over 2-1.
And
The draw's not a bad bet, 12-5. Given the three of us picked out a draw there. Yeah, it's starting. There's nothing really on the apps yet to really get your teeth into. Even the bet builders haven't got many markets on it. I'll find one in the week and I might tweet it out if I remember, but I'll probably forget.
Excellent.
Nothing to be out there.
We've saved everybody some money. Perfect. Right. Okay. Let's move on to matters of commentary and commentators and pundits. Joey Barton has been in the news this week because he has been, I think, hammering the fact that there were female pundits commentating on the men's game. Harry, I'll start with you on this one. Do you think he's just fishing for attention? Because that to me seems like what he's trying to do.
Well, with Joey Barton, before he got back into management, when Twitter first come about and he was doing nothing, he was like this back then, if you remember. He's always been a bit of a knob on Twitter or been out there. But has he got a point? Well, all I'll say is that there is really good female pundits out there. Laura Wood, well, she's a host, isn't she? Laura Woods, I really like Alex Scott. I like a few others. But I do agree in the fact that they do kind of shoehorn in random women to tick a certain box on the mainstream channels, which, you know, that's what they want to do. Yeah, there are good female pundits. I don't believe you should ban all female pundits and hosts from the male game. Obviously not. But I do tend to agree they do shoehorn a lot of female people into tick a box, which he should be because they're good, not because they just want them there. Like I said to you, I listen to the Gary Neville podcast and they have Jill Scott on, and it feels like they just put her in that room just to fill up, just to say, look, we've got a woman on, and it don't work. And they didn't have her on the other week, and it was a much better listen. So, yeah, I think he's gone about it the wrong way, and he's gone absolutely tits. And I think he's lost the plot a bit. He's making a lot of enemies. And he contradicted himself a lot as well on the Piers Morgan show because he said he didn't want women. And Bianca Westwood was sat there and he was like, yes, Bianca, I really respect what you say. So he's kind of contradicting himself, isn't he? So
a little
I
bit,
don't know. He's lost the plot. Yeah.
She's never played the game, has she?
Yeah.
Is a good pundit, a good commentator sort of around the grounds, of which she spent a long time at Sky, didn't she? Jack's been getting closer and closer to his microphone. I think he's itching.
No. I was just thinking like the thing about it is when I first saw it, because I think it was like on Thursday night, wasn't it, or something that he put a tweet out there, and it was one of those where I just thought, right, that's getting deleted soon. But the funny thing about it is that he's just doubled down on it. And he's just gone completely off the rails, hasn't he? And just is stuck by it and just kept sort of, you could argue, digging a hole. Because when I first saw that tweet, I was like, I bet he's had a few beers that night, and that'll be like deleted with an apology in the morning. And it just never came. And I can't remember what he said, but it was like the way it read was quite just sexist, to be honest. When really, like, I was trying to defend him on my head and just say, right, I think what he's trying to say there is he's asking the question of, is trying to diversify the commentary and pundit panels too much actually having a detriment to the overall quality, which I think if you phrase it like that is kind of a question that can go about it. But the way it sort of came across was like, you need to ban all women. And then it's sort of in the days that followed, his tweets have sort of gone into little like sort of rallying cries, like we're going to take down the woke karate and these sorts of things. And it's gone a little bit unhinged, hasn't it? Yeah, I don't know really. And it's if Harry was saying he was like this on Twitter before, it's not a new thing. It's just, it was new to me. And when I saw the tweets, I was a bit like, oh, okay. And you know, but you know, maybe it's still exactly what he wanted. It sounds like he's trying to like get an audience for a podcast he's doing or something.
Podcast,
yeah. So maybe this is all part of the plan to go in there and just call people out on Twitter and shake the pot a little bit and drill up a bit of entertainment. But yeah, not sure.
Bayliss?
I can think of far worse pundits that are blokes.
I was going to say that, you know, I was watching, you know, whenever I was talking to my dad about it, I think at one point, I was like, what do you think of Chris Kamara as a pundit when he was like, literally had no fucking clue what was going on, didn't know someone had been sent off and substituted him. I imagine if it was a woman that had done that. The amount of
it's funny though.
But because it's funny and it's cammy, but like, I think they're held to a much, much higher standard. And I was watching it through a little bit of a different lens. I was watching a bit of Soccer Saturday. And I was just being a little bit more forensic with the comments that everybody was making, and actually, if you'd have written them down and looked at them, you'd have gone, "Oh, I don't know which one's which here." But Sue Smith, who was on the panel with I think Clinton Morrison, Tim Sherwood, and there was somewhere else, and the blokes were crap, and actually they were stuttering, they were tripping over their words. She was just reeling off what she'd just seen, and it was perfectly done. So I think when you look at it differently,
the problem is they're trying to get ex-professionals in from the men's side, and some of them are like between Clinton Morrison and Sherwood. There's about 3 brain cells in there, I think, and
at least.
His argument as well. Oh, sorry, go on, Bailey. Sorry.
Well, no. So, but it's an interesting point, to the point of you just want them to pick the best pundits or commentators for the job, and people are getting way too transfixed on who they're picking and why and what it is, when actually all we care about is listening to the best possible, be it commentary or punditry, right? I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
And I think Barton's just basically took his opportunity to slag off someone after a bad performance or a bad comment or whatever it happened to have been. And he can double down on it because it's a live sporting context where people are always going to naturally do things wrong. So I bet if he tries to look for it, he can find tons of mistakes, be it a man, woman, whatever. And he's just going to double down it. But it is so idiotic. It's getting to the point where it's like David Icke shit going down the rabbit hole, LSD, the Queen's a lizard sort of stuff.
What a night, though! What a night! What a
you know what I
night.
mean? Like, he's getting to the point. He's getting to the point where it's no longer him trying to make a point about bad pundits. It's now going to like this conspiracy nonsense. Like, it's absolutely nuts.
Do you think? Because I think one of the points that he was trying to make, albeit probably not the best, is that there's such a difference in quality, you could say, and speed and pace between the top of the men's game and the top of the women's game, that until there's those two are more in parallel, because the women's game is you're still developing, particularly in Europe, I would say. Do you think that they understand the stuff that they are seeing and being asked to comment on in the same way as a man who's played it at that same top level? That's
similar.
probably
Similar things. What I was going to say, Jack, is one of his big arguments is people who haven't played at the top of the game shouldn't really be on there, so that's why you don't want women on. But like Piers Morgan, I can't believe I'm saying this, made a good point, but people like John Motson, the legendary commentator, never kicked a ball in his life. Jose Mourinho, never kicked a ball in his life. So that argument's crap, because then you go on to the point of we were talking about in WhatsApp, weren't we? Like people like Mark Goldbridge has hundreds of thousands of people listen to him. He's never kicked a ball. He's never played at the highest level. Some people just give an opinion well, and people agree. And I reckon in a few years, because of the way social media and that's going, Mark Goldbridge will probably be on bloody Monday Night Football, for God's sake. And then Joey Barton will be going mental, because he was having to go at vloggers and that, weren't he, as well, which, fair enough. But yeah, his argument, it is definitely, I think it's a bit of a sexist side coming out. And the women to men's game arguing, I get what he's trying to say, but like I just said, there's men who haven't played the game and they're really good at it. So why can't women, who, even if they haven't played the game, or if they've only played at the high level for obviously the women's game, why can't they be on there? If they're good, they're good.
So then should they, to try and fill these spots, rather than being just trying to recruit the best former women's players, should they be looking further afield to try and get, people who aren't necessarily didn't play for Arsenal ladies or England ladies, whatever?
Yeah, someone who's actually charismatic and good and could speak well. Don't just get any old Tom Canary.
Quite a small pool for footballers.
Not Gabby Abongahor, for example. Like, don't get
that's
people
the thing. I think everybody takes a piss out of Michael Owen's punditry, and he's literally the last Englishman to win the Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or, exactly.
He's talking about qualifying to be able to talk about men's football because you've got it on your CV. I'd be right up there, but he's not a very good pundit.
What was the thing that he was on about with an apple? I saw the story about that. Did you guys see it?
I saw it. He said he used to be so competitive with himself that he used to eat an apple, finish it, and then he would be against himself trying to lob it in the bin or something, even though his mum might because the core might hit the wall or something.
That was on Simon Jordan's podcast. I was laughing my head off when I was listening to that. That was Simon Jordan's podcast. I was like, bloody hell, Owen, you don't do yourself any favours.
No, exactly.
Jesus Christ. But as well, Gary Neville, You think
You're
back
on
to
mute.
Gary Neville's probably one of the best pundits in the country now. Even he admits himself, go back and watch his first Monday Night Football. He was shaking like a shitting dog. You know what I mean?
He
So
was
it just
rubbish at the
shows.
start. He was rubbish, I
Yeah,
thought. When they first got him
yeah.
in, it was like he's improved a lot because when he was commentating, like you say, or trying to present for the first few months, it was a bit of a car crash, in my opinion. And I also think, like, one thing I don't like, I think we've touched on this before, is that Michael Owen now, because of his punditry, I think a lot of kids, they judge him by his punditry and don't realise how good a footballer he was back in the day. And he gets a lot of stick, but they don't quite respect how good he was. Because, when he was, in the early 2000s, he was brilliant. When he's won a Ballon d'Or, for
Favourite player.
sake.
He's my favourite player, Owen, growing up.
Isn't Michael Jordan just a meme now of a man crying rather than like literally one of the best basketballers of all time?
Does
Like,
it all, doesn't
if you're a certain age, then yeah, didn't you turn into a meme and that's the end? Well, I thought we did quite well with that. I don't think we'll get cancelled. So well done. We will move on now. Harry has a quiz.
I do. Should we say what we really think now about the Joe Bot? I'm joking.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say what we really think.
The quiz this week is the 2023-24 season so far, all Wolves. So testing your knowledge from this season, lads. So you've got to be good at this. Who wants to go first? Or someone shout?
I'll go.
No, okay, go on.
Right, we'll go Bayless, Jack, then Sam.
All right.
The Bayless got 3 questions these as a tiebreaker if we need it. So all the questions from the Premier League 23-24 so far. Hwang Chan Bayless is the top goal scorer on 8 goals for Wolves. Who is second on 5 goals for Wolves? Nice, easy one to start.
Must be Cunha now.
Well done.
Mm.
One for Bayless. Start off a bit easy and then we get harder. Jack. Neto has the most assists for Wolves this season. Neto has the most assists for Wolves this season on 7. Who is joint second on 3 with Cunha? So there's 2 players on 3. Cunha's one of them, assists. Who's the other one with 3 assists?
Hwang.
No. Anyone else want to guess?
Oh.
Yeah. Hwang's got 2.
Oh.
Sarabia's got a couple, I reckon.
It is Sarabia, yeah. Sarabia. That's quite an hard one, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, that was,
Question 3 for Sam. Yeah, question 3 for Sam. 2 players have 2 Premier League goals this season. Lamina is one. Who is the other?
Sasha.
Well done.
Well done.
Back round to Bayless. Which player has received the most yellow cards this season with 7?
Has to be Lamina.
Won a game, innit?
Well done. Yeah, it is Lamina.
It feels like.
Jack. 3 players are joint second on 5 yellow cards. Dawson and Gomez are 2 of them. Who is the 3rd?
Sake.
You're getting the hard ones, aren't you? You've landed over shit.
I was going to say Gomez straight away, and then you called him out. So it's Gomez, Dawson, Semedo.
Well done, yes.
Good
Yes,
work.
I didn't think you were going to get
Good work.
that. Sam. Which 2 current, I'll put this in capital letters, current players have seen red for Wolves this season? Because there is 3. Nuno's left. Nuno's got a red, remember.
That's Bellegarde and Lamina.
Well done, it is. Bellegarde and Lamina. I thought you might struggle with the Lamina one because it's 2 yellows, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Jack.
Bayless.
Wolves have scored. Oh, my God. Oh, sorry, is it Bayless?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Bayless,
sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah, it is Bayless. This is a tough one, Bayless,
I'll
sorry.
give him the easy question.
Wolves have scored 1 own goal this season. And who scored it?
Ooh. Oh, wow.
It's a hard one, there. It is hard.
Can I have the game? Give me a chance.
Can you have the what?
No.
The game? Yeah, I'll give you the game. Liverpool at home.
Didn't go to it. Bugger.
The box is full, are they?
Some of them are... Yeah, hospitality was a sellout for the Liverpool game.
Just waiting for the comments.
I'm not. I'm going to guess 8 Nori because it rings a bell, but I'm going to...
Oh, and a bad guess. It was actually Bueno.
Wrong side.
Right, wrong player. Right.
Wrong
Who is
answer.
it now? It's
Jack.
Jack.
Me.
Jack.
How many clean sheets do Wolves have this season?
Oh, we touched upon that, haven't we?
We got one the other day.
Good.
Yes.
3.
Oh, it's 2. So it's against
Oh.
Burnley. Who was the other one? Burnley and I can't remember the other one. I bet people know. I can't even think.
Everton, isn't it?
Everton. Yes, Everton away,
Yeah,
1-0.
Everton.
Good shout. So at the moment it's 2-2-1. Last question. This is to win it, Sam, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it is.
How many penalties have Wolves scored this season?
Scored. 2.
Oh no,
Isn't it?
no, it's 1. Hwang Hee-chan against
Oh,
Fulham.
shit.
So that means Bayliss and Sam are on 2 each. So for a tiebreaker, right, we're going to do the classic. Lock your answers in because I can't be bothered to get you to send me a message or anything. But how many, right, Sam and Bayliss, write it down on a piece of paper and lock it in. Don't cheat.
I don't
How
want your
many
paper.
total? All right, just lock it into your head. We'll trust you. You can go first. How many total yellow cards have Wolves got this season? Whoever's the closest wins.
Do I say after
Bayliss,
3
lock
then?
in your answer. No, let Bayliss
Right.
do it and then lock yours in. We trust you, Sam.
All right.
Well then, Bayliss, what do you reckon?
23.
Sam?
Sam says 15. It's in the chat.
Whoa, you two are shite. So the winner is Bayliss. The correct answer is 45 yellow cards
Oh, really? Jesus.
But 45 yellow cards?
this season already.
Quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bloody hell. What's the fine? Do
Yeah.
you get a fine for a yellow?
Lamina's got 7.
Well, it's only like 3 or 4 a game, and you think second half, so everyone just takes one if they can, can't they? Like I would have said
3
40,
players have
so-
got
yeah,
5.
true, yeah, true.
3 players have got 5. Lamina's got 7, so that's 22
Yeah.
already.
Shit,
think
yeah, I
about
was.
And then there's all the others, whoever else. Yeah, the rest, all the little ones.
Like
Good
that.
quiz,
There
though.
we go.
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah,
Cheers.
very good quiz.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks for
Great, Harry,
encrypting.
thank you.
Yeah, Harry's so good. You're very good at that.
Thank
Right, okay. Thank you very much. We'll say goodbye to Quizmaster General Harry Mantle.
Thank you. I was going to do like a Brucey bonus reference or something, then I can't think of any quotes. All right, yeah, cheers, everyone. See you in a bit.
And it's been nice to see you nice, Daniel.
That's it. That's what I was meant to do.
Yeah, very good. Goodbye.
And it's a goodbye from Jerry. I can't think
Response
anymore.
is dead. Bye.
He's dead, thank you. And it is a goodbye from me. Goodbye.